This is test number 9 for knights. It is white to move. The level is 1800 to 2000. Pause it here if you want to solve the puzzle. Alright, so we can go through the first few moves of this game. This is Fischer versus Ibrahimoglu, Siegen, 1970, and start from the beginning. So Fischer is going to play the King's Indian attack. For those of you that don't like the main lines of the Caro-Kann, if you play e4 for white, this is an option. So I might try this out. Also, white gains the 2 bishops. But black has no development problems. So this stops b5, gains some space. So this is the diagram. This is very nice for white. He has the 2 bishops, the b5 and c4 squares can easily fall into his hands, and d5 is a gaping hole. Compare this to d4, a square that is not a hole since it can be healed by simple c2 to c3. Explaining the rating spread. Yes, another knight retreat. I would have made the rating spread lower, this is 1800 to 2000, since I know you guys are getting used to your horses going backwards. But the fact that the knight is already eyeing the nice c4 square, and that moves like queen b5 are also very tempting, makes the problem very difficult. Knight to b1, exclaim. You should be getting used to this idea by now. The knight heads for c3 where it will eye both d5 and b5. Queen to b7. There's another line we could look at with queen to c6, knight c3, knight c7, rook a7, rook a8, and now white has knight to d5, exclaim. So if rook takes, then the queen is lost. So takes queen to d6, pawn, bishop protects the pawn. Queen to b5, exclaim. And now knight takes, rook d7, knight c7, the only way to save the piece. Rook takes d6, knight takes b5. Rook takes b6, knight d4, c3 gives white a winning endgame thanks to the more active rook, weakness of c5, and the power of white's 2 raking bishops. They're like rakes, raking up all the leaves. Okay, so instead of queen c6 in the game, queen b7 was played. Now Fischer plays knight c3, and white's position is clearly superior. The rest of the game was a beautiful demonstration of technique by Fischer. Knight c7, knight to b5. Rook fd1 was also strong, and certainly the most natural looking move, but white decides to swap the knights and gain entry to b5 for his queen. Queen c6, knight takes c7, queen takes, queen b5. Black's position is cheerless. 2 bishops, pressure down the a-file, pressure against b6, more active pieces. So this pawn is weak. White has the a-file, and the queen is very active on b5. Rook a8, c3. Things are getting worse for black with every move. The entry of this bishop into the battle marks the beginning of the end. Notice how Fischer makes sure every piece is in play. Bishop b5. Total domination. Every white piece is superior to their black counterparts. I'll let the reader decide for themselves whether or not the shocking bishop takes, bishop h6 check, king takes, and rook g8 works. So let's analyze that because that's interesting. So I don't see any defense. That was some computer analysis. So rook g8. And if this is ignored, check, here, check, here, checkmate. So this is a cool line. So I think it works. Then the game, Fischer plays queen to d2. After bishop e7, queen g5, we get a picturesque case of a bishop dominating a knight. And white's queen is also dominating the black queen. So this is pretty cool. So knight d7 doesn't work because of this. So black has a lot of problems there. So they play knight c6, d5, knight a7. Notice how this b5 square still is weak. 1-0. So I guess black had enough here and resigned. So this is a cool game. I like the knight maneuver. So fortunately I can't go back. But the main point was the knight maneuver that helped take control of the b5 square. Even though the knight was traded, it allowed other pieces like the queen and the white bishop to get to the b5 square and infiltrate the black position.